Today's lesson is on lowest common multiples. Students will identify multiples of a number, common multiples of two numbers, and the lowest common multiple of two numbers up to 12. So let's just begin by reviewing what a whole number is. So whole numbers are the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. These are in contrast to fractions. Fractions represent parts of a whole. These are whole complete numbers. So the multiples of a whole number are the numbers you get by multiplying the number by another whole number. So for example, 6 is a multiple of 2 because we can multiply 2 times 3, which equals 6. The word multiple and multiply are very similar, although they differ by one last letter. So the difference is that multiple ends with an E, multiply ends with a Y. This makes it easy to remember what a multiple is. Remembering a multiple, you can get a multiple of a number by multiplying that number by any other whole number. So let's use a first strategy of skip counting. So we can use skip counting to find multiples of a number. We're going to start with the multiples of 4. Here we have 4 times 0 is 0, 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 3 is 12, and 4 times 4 is 16. These are all multiples of 4 as we skip count. If you skip count continuing on by 4, we would get 20, 24, 28, 32, and 36. These are all multiples of 4. So now if I ask you if 26 is a multiple of 4, would your answer be yes or no? If you said no, you are correct. No, 26 is not a multiple of 4, and we know that because it's not in our list that we just skip counted by. 26 falls right here between 24 and 28. Therefore, we can't actually multiply it directly into 26. So now we're going to continue on with our skip counting strategy, and we're going to practice with some other numbers. So you're going to skip count to decide if the number given is a multiple of 3. Therefore, we're going to skip count by 3s. So let's do A together. So we're going to skip count by 3s. We always start at 0. 0, 3, 6, 9, 12. Is 8 then a multiple of 3? Do we have 8 on the list that we just wrote out? The answer is no. 8 is not a multiple of 3. Now you're going to pause the screencast and you're going to complete B, C, and D on your whiteboards to find out if these numbers are a multiple of 3. When you're done, continue your screencast. So now that we've learned some multiples of 3, we're going to talk about 0 for a little bit. So 0 is a multiple of any number. We can prove that 0 is a multiple of 3 because 3 times 0 is going to equal 0. So which whole number is 0 a multiple of? It's all of them because any whole number can be multiplied by 0 to make 0. Now we're going to use a number line as we continue on. So we're going to use these two number lines to find the multiples of 2 on the first number line and then the multiples of 3 on the second number line. So with an X, I'm going to first mark all of the multiples of 2. So we're going to start at 0. 0, I'm just going to change the color of my pen so you can see it. 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12. Now if I mark all the multiples of 3, again I'm always going to start at 0, 3, 6, 9, 12. Which numbers are multiples of both 2 and 3? So you're looking for the numbers that have an X in both the same spots on the number lines. So we can see that 0 is a multiple of 2 and 3. So is 6 a multiple of 2 and 3, and so is 12. There are X's on both of those spots on the number line. You can also find the multiples of three numbers in a similar way. So we have 2 and 3 here that we just did on the other slide. Now we're adding in multiples of 4. So let's skip count by 4s and put x's on. So 0, 4, 8, 12. So in which columns do you see 3 x's? So if I look here, I see that there's an x on the zeros in all of them. No, 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 no for 4 because we're missing 3. No for 5, no for 6, we're missing this one. No for 7, no for 8, no for 9, no for 10. The other column where we have all 3 x's is the 12. So we can say that 0 and 12 are common multiples of the numbers 2, 3, and 4. It is common within all of them. So you're going to list the multiples of 3, 4, and 6 up to 15 times each number. And then you're going to write the first 3 common multiples, not including 0. So on your whiteboard, this is how you would set up your whiteboard. You're going to have the multiples of 3, you're going to have the multiples of 4, and you're going to have the multiples of 6. And you want to keep your numbers in a nice even line on top of each other so it's easy to see the multiples. Always beginning at 0, 3, 6, 9, and you're going to continue that on for the next 11 terms. So you'll have a total of 50 numbers in each row. And you'll do the same, so 0, 4, 8, 12. Oh, my numbers are not staying lined up. I'm going to make sure they're nice and straight. So 12, and then I'd continue on, as well as 0, 6, 12, 18. Once you have all your numbers there, you're looking for common multiples, and you're going to list at least 3 of them. So far, there are no numbers that are common within those columns. When you're done finding the common multiple, you're going to resume your screencast. Great job. So you should have seen that 3 common multiples of 3, 4, and 6 are the numbers 12, 24, and 36. So just a reminder that 0 is a multiple of every number. Because of that, it's really not an interesting multiple. When we want to list multiples, we're only interested in the multiples that are not 0. So when the smallest common multiple of 2 numbers does not include 0, this is called the lowest common multiple. So if we look back at our last example, the lowest common multiple, you could have had 0 on this list, but we never list 0. So the lowest common multiple of 3, 4, and 6 then would have been the number 12. It's the smallest number that they have in common. So now we're going to find the lowest common multiple for the following numbers, and you're going to do these answers on your whiteboard. So you want to set it up. So for A, let's do A together. We're looking at the numbers 2 and we're looking at the numbers 3. We're always going to start at 0. And we're going to go 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And I'm going to stop there. Then I'm going to line up underneath. So 0, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. I'm looking for the lowest common multiple. So when I look to see which numbers line up, I can see that both of these have the number 6 in common. So if I was looking at 2 and 3, I would say the lowest common multiple of 2 and 3 is the number 6. I want you to try a few of these examples on your whiteboard. Check in with me if you need help, and then resume your screencast when you are ready. If you're looking to short form lowest common multiple, you can write it as L, C, and M. We can talk about common multiples of a number and itself. So we can also say that the common multiples of 3 and 3 are all multiples of 3. So it says list the multiples of 3 up to 3 times 10. How can you use this to find the lowest common multiple of 3 and 4? So we know that 3 times 0 is going to give us 0. Then we're going to go 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. I'm running out of room, so I'm just going to hop over here. 18, 21, 24, 27, and 30. So you can use this list to find the lowest common multiple of 3 and 4 by finding the first multiple of 4, which is not 0. So if I do the 4's over here, so I could do 0, 4, 8, 12. Do I have a similar number? Yes, I have 12 in both. So I can say that the lowest common multiples of 3 and 4 is the number 12. You're going to use this list of multiples of 3 above, and you're going to find the lowest common multiple of the other number below. So you're already given the lowest common multiple of 3's right here, or sorry, the multiples of 3 right here, and you're finding the multiples of 2 to see which one would be the lowest. So if you list the multiples of 2, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, do I have something in common here? Yes, other than 0, I can see that 3 and 2 both have a lowest common multiple of 6. I want you to continue on with B, C, and D. Now, if I want to find the lowest common, or sorry, the common multiples of 3 and 8, there's two methods that I could do. I could first list the methods of 3. Sorry, I could first list the multiples of 3 and find the first multiple of 8. Or I could list the multiples of 8 and find the first multiple of 3. Either way, you're going to end up getting the same answer because they're both multiples. So what requires less work? Listing the multiples of 3 until you find a multiple of 8, or listing the multiples of 8 until you find a multiple of 3. The one that requires less work is listing the multiples of 8. Why? Because 8 is more. It's the higher number. So it takes fewer multiples of 8 than multiples of 3 to get to the same number. So I'm going to try this method here to find the common multiples of 3 and 8. And I'm going to skip count by 8s. So 0, 8, 16, 24. Do any of these numbers, can I multiply any of these numbers by 3? Yes, because if I had my 3's, it would be 0, 3, 6, 9, 12. I could keep going, 15, 18, 21, and eventually I'm going to get to 24, and I see that the common multiple of 8 and 3 is 24. So this is where it becomes really useful to know your times tables. If you know your times tables, you don't really need to skip count to decide if a number is a multiple of another number. But here's a few more practice ones that you could practice on your whiteboard. So list multiples of a larger number, not including 0, until you find a multiple of the smaller number. So you're going to always start with the bigger number to find the common multiples. When you're done, resume your screencast. You're now ready to go on to your jump math assignment. Today you're working through pages 122 to 124. Please check in with me when you are finished.